Sup, guys? You like snacks? No, everybody likes snacks. Nothing better than soup, salad, and shoes. No, but don't eat shoes. But if you're willing to watch, you should tune in to Mitch Valentine's podcast, Mitch Please. This is Sydney Hupp.
Mitch Please, since 2016. Flying with angels, dancing with devils, caught in between a saint and a rebel. Trying to live my best life, go into it like a WWF fight. And the fans are screaming, they got my back like I'm really beaming. So beam me up, Scotty, kicking down doors like I know karate. I got the fuego like Mojave, getting high is my hobby. Mitch Please, in 2016. Podcast so ill, it might catch a body. Can't no one harm me. It would take more than the army to stop Mitch Valentine from doing what he gotta do. He stays on his grind. R.I.P. Joe Rogan. Y'all better know that we coming. We ain't ever running. So turn up the sound and keep it 100. Keep it 100. Mitch Valentine, keep it 100. Keep it 100. Mitch Please podcast, keep it 100. Now chill. Yeah, hashtag make dreams happen. Pro Championship Entertainment. At Heartbreaker MV. At PCE since 2015. Yeah, follow your dreams, y'all. Mitch Please, since 2016.
It's all good. It's all love. Welcome to episode 41 of Mitch Please. This is Mitch Valentine, parked outside a CVS in Chico, California. I'm excited to bring back on the show after 3.5 years in exile from this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the state of comedy. Welcome, Jerm Leather.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mitch. It's been a cold and lonely 3 years out here waiting for you to call me back, but I appreciate it. I'm glad you came just to see what I'm doing, and you let me wash your windshield, which was nice of you. I appreciate that. I'll take that $4 you gave me and buy myself a hot sandwich.
Dude, anytime. I was just telling you, you're the first. I just bought this car we're sitting in yesterday, and you're the first male passenger that has been in this car since I've owned it. So, we're making history, Jerm. We always make history, man. I feel like we've been through a lot over the last 5+ years. You've been at this way longer than me, way more consistently. You've done a lot. And I always appreciate your feedback. For personally speaking, I love that you were actually the first person to ever give me feedback with my performance. Doing open mics. So I just know that you're a really smart guy, man. And when it comes to the state of comedy, I know that you're going to have a lot to offer here, your insight about what's going on. So, let's talk about what's going on. Chico's kind of blowing up right now, man. 4 mics a week, lots of shows. We got a festival coming up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about all this?
I think it's really good for the scene. I think it's kind of fascinating how little gaps are formed and nobody's hooking up any shows, and all of a sudden people show up and start booking shows, and it's fantastic. You got people like Jesse Clark out there putting together this charity festival coming up in November here, and you got people like Dylan Collins putting together almost every damn show that you see in town, and some shows out of town as well. Basically, it's a heck of a market out there right now. There's lots of room still, even now, for growth. So we'll see what happens, I guess.
I was talking to Phil from Chico. We're actually on our way right now to the Phil from Chico Down Low open mic.
Down Low open mic, Monday nights.
Every Monday. And I was talking to Phil last week, and I was like, man, Rich Morar, I think, chimed in too. It's like, dude, I think there should be a show every day, and a mic every day. Why not? It's like, if there's 100,000 people in this town, I mean, there's no reason why we can't be on stage every night doing something, making different people laugh every night. So I love it. I love what's happening. And yeah, LOL Palooza. Hopefully this podcast is going to drop before that. It's, what is it, November 8th and 9th? And
I believe it's the 9th through the 11th, if I remember correctly. It could be the 8th through the 10th. This is why I shouldn't be in charge of any shows.
No. I think it is the 8th through the 10th. You're right. Because I know I'm doing the 8th Blue Room. Mm-hmm. The 9th is Tender Love and Coffee. The Adonis Bro is going to make his debut. What are you doing, though? You're doing the Brew? What are you doing?
I think I'm definitely doing Hank Duke's Good Time Variety Hour, which I believe is the first show of the festival. That's at Tender Love and Coffee. And that's going to be on Friday, I believe. And then beyond that, I honestly don't know. I'm willing to jump into any spot where I'm needed, I guess. Mostly what I've been doing, and I haven't done as much as I wish I could have, but mostly what I've been trying to do is wrangle people that are willing to sponsor the event. Jesse Clark already put together a bunch of hard work and contacted just a crazy amount of businesses looking for sponsorship. We're fortunate in that some businesses are absolutely willing to work with us to help bring some support to this charity. In this case, it's Safe Space Winter Shelter, in case you didn't know.
No, and that's awesome. See, I believe there's just two, just two, but I believe that doing benefit shows is awesome. Because if you're not going to go out there and make money for yourself and your family, then let's make money for someone that's really struggling. Right. And it's hard enough to make any money doing this in Chico at all anyways.
It's hard to make money doing this anywhere.
Period,
let alone in a town like Chico, which we're very lucky. It's a big college town. We could be doing this in Orland, or like you were doing in Paradise back in the day. That must have been crazy trying to get people to come out to shows like that.
Spit on it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Spit on it. Oh my god. I still can't believe we made it out of that bar alive.
Gosh, the bar didn't make it, but no, but it's, you did. And yeah, man, and you've been from Paradise to all over, right? I mean, you've been doing this for a while. And what do you think is special about the Chico comedy scene in comparison to other places that you've done comedy?
That's a difficult question to answer. I would say it sounds really cliche, but the feeling of family is really beautiful here. That being said, we're all petty, catty little bitches, and we all talk shit about each other. It's tragic. But I think there's a place of love that it comes from. In terms of other scenes, I honestly haven't had enough experience with other scenes to say a whole lot. I've heard that other scenes are a lot cattier than ours, though, so who knows? As long as we can keep it so that we're sort of nice, that's good enough for me.
It reminds me so much of the wrestling world, man, the independent wrestling world, the independent comedy world, because, let's face it, we all want to make it, and it's kind of an ego thing where, we want to be the best. If you're not trying to be the best, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Mm-hmm. And then it's it's a one person thing usually, right? It's just you on stage. You don't have a team, mm-hmm. So it's an interesting thing. And speaking of being catty and getting after each other, we're doing a roast battle show at the Lab on November 7th.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm not great at being mean. I can be, but I'm not great at it. I should work on it.
How did that last roast battle go at the Maltese? Because I didn't get to go to that, and I've been wanting to watch the footage, and I just, how did it...
It was pretty fun. There were some really good pairings. There were some incredibly, unexpectedly lopsided roasts. TJ was against Eliza Odegaard.
Right.
TJ Hudson was against Eliza Odegaard, and she just destroyed him.
That's what I've heard.
Brutally destroyed him. I think he went out there thinking he was going to be able to be all cutesy, and she just went for the jugular. It was badass. And then beyond that, myself and Hank Duke were the ones that had to match each other. So,
oh goodness!
And we both just love each other and think we're both so squishy and adorable. So there was no way we were going to say hurtful things to each other. What did I say? Oh, I can't even remember now. I had one okay burn. I think it was something like, "You're good at making sandwiches, and when it comes to comedy, you're great at making sandwiches," or something. It wasn't a great burn. because I'm not that type of comic. But it was fun.
Would you say, like, this is my first roast, I'm battling Jacob McCowan.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, so good luck.
Yeah, I mean, this is important to obviously really write and dive into this other person that you're battling and really just go for the jugular,
I
right?
guess so. Well, yeah, if you don't know them and you're not friends with them, you don't have to feel any of that weird. I don't know. I'm different than everybody else. I feel like everybody else says, oh, I know him and I get to destroy him on stage. Awesome. But I'm not like that. I don't know people that well, and if I do, I don't want to hurt them. I don't know why I'm in this show is the point, man.
Yeah, it doesn't seem, I don't know. You are very nice. So to see you, like, verbally insult somebody should be something to see. And you guys can get tickets for that for $5 right now, pre-sale. We've got tickets. Hit me up. For the roast battle, November 7th at the Lab. Like we said, the LOL Palooza's going on, Jerm. I mean, the whatever it is, the 8th, 9th, and 10th. That's what I'm believing. I think we're going to go with that.
Think so.
And you can check out Jesse Clark Comedy for all the information on that. Another thing I'm really excited about is, there's an event in Paradise at the Performing Arts Center, which is funny because it's a girl that we've done shows with at the Whitewater Saloon.
Oh,
She's
wow.
actually putting this show on in Paradise on the 15th of November. But this leads to the 16th of November, Jerm. We're going to be at the Feather Falls Casino.
Right. I'm really excited about this particular show. It's really unfortunate that there's a reason for the show. But I'm excited just to be able to spread a little good cheer. Why don't you tell myself as well as the audience a bit about that if you have a moment?
Yeah, man. So basically, this came about through a couple different people that I know. One being the Copa de Oro. I've been doing shows. You did a show there
Sure.
with me. And so one of the people there kind of got in touch with me and let me know what was going on about this young lady, this little girl named Evelyn. And I had already known about Evelyn and what she was going through before he had brought her up to me and told me that they were wanting to do a comedy show to kind of help pay for her, her medical expenses and stuff. And that she was still alive, when we were talking about this. And recently, a few weeks ago, she passed away from cancer. And so now the family they plan to do this event at Feather Falls Casino, and and all the money for everything, they're going to do a auction and just every tickets and everything else. It's all going to go to the family and the medical expenses. And I mean, just can't imagine what the family's going through, man, losing their 7-year-old daughter. And they've been dealing with this for years. And also a guy from Paradise named Kelly's Muffler. He does a foundation called the My Mallory May Foundation. So he's involved with this event as well. And I've known Kelly since I was like 8 years old. So just everything about this event is real special, and I'm really glad to have you a part of it, because you're just one of the funniest people I've met in this comedy world, And
Thank you, man.
And it's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of comics at that show, and it's sold out at Feather Falls Casino, man. So it's just going to be awesome. And yeah, I mean, moving on from that, it's like, what is your favorite type of comedy, Jerm? We don't have a whole lot of time left here. We got to get going. I just want to know... I guess
You're so busy, Mitch.
Well, we got to get over to the mic and.
I get it. I'm not worth your time. I understand.
Well, Jerm, I'm going to get you back on this show, and like I said, we're going to tell your what's been going on with you personally the last couple of years, if you want to. But
Yeah.
As we close here, what is some of your favorite comedy? I guess what is your favorite form of comedy? Because there's animated, there's sketch comedy, there's movies, there's TV shows, there's stand-up, obviously, what we like to do.
Well, I think my very first, from the time I was a child, and I probably said this actually on the first episode that I was on with you, when I was a little kid, I would sneak out at midnight and go turn on my TV in the living room and watch old late-night shows that had comedians on them, and I did it specifically to watch stand-up. So I would say first is always going to be stand-up. Second is always going to be sketch comedy, because I feel like stand-up and sketch are like weird, twisted, inbred cousins of each other, kind of. Like sketch has a lot of the same weirdness, the same concept of premises being stretched out and explored, and What I love about sketch is it can be a lot more visual, and you can hold the audience's attention a little bit longer than you might with just a single bit with stand-up. Either way, I think my favorite kind of comedy is just any kind that either makes the world make more sense, whether it's in a darker or brighter way, or takes something that is really boring and mundane and somehow allows us to see it in a way that makes us laugh. Because God knows we all need to laugh.
I dig it, man. I dig it. What is it about stand-up comedy for you? Because you've been at this for nearly a decade.
Jeez.
What about stand-up comedy is so special to you that just keeps you coming back every single week?
I think it's something different for everybody. I know for me that there's times when I don't feel like anything in my life is going right. Like I don't feel good about myself for anything and just feel overwhelmed and stressed out. And for some reason, going out on that stage and getting even a single laugh when you're feeling like that can make you feel so much better, can make you feel so much more alive. I admit, and it took me years to come to grips with this, that part of it is being selfish. Part of me is me. Part of it is me just desperately wanting the audience to love me, just desperately wanting some form of validation, and I think that's why a lot of us do it. Mostly, I do it for the thrill of taking nothing and making it funny, the thrill of suddenly the audience having no idea what you're about to say, and half the time, we, the comics ourselves, not knowing what we're about to say. Sometimes we just improvise on stage. But I got a better response. What do you like about comedy? What do you get from it?
I don't know if that's a better response. I think that was what you gave was a fantastic response. And to answer your question though, Jerm,
I'm curious. Everybody's got something.
It's kind of similar to what you just described. I mean, for me, I always tell people my dream was never stand-up comedy. I've always loved stand-up comedy. I remember being 14 watching Comedy Central, Dane Cook, Nick Swartzen, all those guys, man, on the 30-minute specials on Comedy Central. I'd watch it. I'd love it. But I always, if you guys know me, I mean, pro wrestling was my thing, and there was such a thrill about going out there and just getting that reaction and putting your body on the line. And it is a lot of improv, and it's just a lot of reacting to the audience, and that's what kind of comedy is too. You're gonna have an idea of what you're gonna go do, but then the crowd's gonna change that. They're gonna do what they're gonna do, and then you're gonna react to them, and just like you said, the thrill. I mean, feeling better about yourself. If you had a rough day and you get up on stage and somebody laughs at something you wrote, that makes you feel like, wow, that's cool. It's a cool feeling. So. Yeah, man, for me, I just want to get better, and talking with people like you and hopefully doing a writing session with you, that's how people get better, I feel.
I agree, and I think we should have a writing session. I'm hard to book because I'm super antisocial, so there's probably a handful of people that think I just flat out don't like them because I never go to writing sessions with them. But, we should do that sometime. I don't mean to put you on the spot, buddy, but I was just curious exactly what you get from it, because you've already got your wrestling side thing that you've committed so much time to, and you've clearly gone so far with it. So it's fascinating to me that at some point you were like, you know what, I want to not only switch gears, but I want to keep both tracks going, and I'm just going to jump back and forth, which is fascinating to me, man. I don't know that I'd be able to do that.
Well, with the wrestling, it's like you don't know if you're going to get hurt or not physically. With comedy, it's more like, you don't know if you're going to get hurt or not, emotionally, right?
Exactly, you get hurt.
I'm trying to write this joke about that, how before I'd wrestle, I'd be all scared, not scared, but I'd be like, I don't want to get hurt. Now it's same thing with comedy, but not in a physical way. But you never know, we're going to the down low. We'll see what happens.
Well, I was thinking about it, I imagine there's times when you're on stage when you wish someone would just hit you with a chair rather than just have to stand there in it. Is that Jason Allen? That's Jason Allen.
Jason Allen just walked by in the CVS.
We are seeing live comedy happening.
This is great.
Random people just stumbling out. We're not even at a central location. This is out on the outskirts of town.
Oh man,
my
I love it.
gosh.
By the way, former Mitch Please alumni Jason Allen walked by, didn't even see us. All right, Jerm, let's get out of here before we have to talk to Jason. Where can people find you on the social media?
Oh, you can find me at Jerm Leather Comedy on Facebook. You can just find me at Jerm Leather in general. But add my comedy page, because that way you can see dumb random crap that I post. And beyond that, I love you all. You're all doing a wonderful job of being beautiful and being alive.
Well, here we are, folks. Back in the 98 Camry, parked outside NS Fit this time. And I've got with me my guest right now on Mitch Please, episode 41. He hasn't been on the show as well, just like Jerm Leather, in over 3.5 years. But he's here today, and he's here to tell his story. He is Ginger Daniels.
How's it going, guys, gals, kids, children of all ages?
That's right.
That's
and,
right.
And hey, brother, Mike's right here. You're known to talk a little low.
I am.
So you're going to get a little loud on Mitch Please. You're going to come a little closer to this mic if you can, and we're going to tell your story, Ginger.
Any closer, I'll be right on your dick, though.
Well, I mean...
Well, it wouldn't be the first time we're in the Camry and somebody has swallowed your semen.
Well, actually, it hasn't happened yet, to be honest. It hasn't happened in the vehicle. I have not gotten any sexual activity in this vehicle yet. But, speaking of sexual activity, how's your sex life, Ginger?
Well, at the moment, it's non-existent. There's been attempts and they've all failed.
Okay.
So that is the state of my love life.
Well, my wrestling trainer always told me, if you never quit, you can never fail.
Exactly.
So speaking of wrestling, man, that's kind of how we really started chatting it up as friends, man. Because it was I met you at the Studio Inn. It was over 3 years ago. I know I was intoxicated, and I remember. Here's what I remember. I kept telling you, as the drunker I got, I kept going, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles, WrestleMania, because they had both just got signed to WWE. So I was like, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. And the drunker I got, the more I really believed that was going to be the main event of WrestleMania or whatever. But
unfortunately, that has not happened.
No, they had a hell of a storyline, though.
They did, but it did not main event WrestleMania like it wanted.
It didn't main event anything, but it was freaking amazing.
It was
honestly one of my favorite storylines in WWE the last 5 years.
Didn't Joe get injured though, and that story just kind of had to stop?
No, they just had Joe just continuously get, like they always do. They just have him cut amazing promos, look legit as hell, have great matches, and then just get beat every single time.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But it's all good, man. AJ Styles is great. But so what's going on, brother? Where are you from?
Well, let's see. I was from Anaheim, born, transplanted to Chico, and have been stuck since.
When did you get to Chico?
About a month after I was born.
Okay, so you're basically Chico
I'm
through
Chico,
and through.
Through and through.
All right. Well, what was it like growing up for Curtis Ginger Daniels?
There was good and there was bad. Towards the end of growing up, I got better. But at the beginning, it wasn't very good.
Well, let's talk about your childhood, because here's my question. When I first remember meeting you, man, you've had this thing with your leg. I remember you felt like you almost fell over on stage one time because you lost balance with your leg or whatever. But what's going on? What's the story with your foot, your leg? What's that deal?
Okay, so when I was born bilateral club foot. And bilateral, both my feet were deformed and basically fucked up. Many surgeries by the age of 5, and didn't really start learning to walk till the age of 5. And then all the years of abuse and feeling invincible, and into my 30s I caught up, and when you met me, I just got done with recovery from having my joints fused.
Wow.
So
what was that like as a kid, man? You're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and you're not able to run probably like most kids and stuff. What was that like, man? How tough was that?
It was very tough. I wanted to be into sports, and I really couldn't.
What kind of sports did you like?
Well, I liked wrestling growing up. That it will always be a sport, even though they had the entertainment. Believe it or not, I was more into football at that age. I wanted to play that. And
Who was your favorite player?
Who's my favorite player? Steve Young.
Yeah, that's solid.
Yeah,
He was a hell of a quarterback.
He was, and then my other was Dan Marino. So I like the guys who kind of get that achievement but underachieve at the same time.
Well, Young got a couple rings. Marino didn't get nothing.
Yeah, well, Young got some of those rings by sitting on the bench.
For Montana. Yeah, a little before my time. I remember Young though. I do remember Young. Now, how old are you?
38.
Okay, yeah. So we got a couple years on me. But so you loved wrestling growing up.
I did love wrestling.
What made you? What attracted you to pro wrestling?
WrestleMania 3.
Okay. Andre Hogan.
But I was more into the Steamboat Macho match.
Yeah,
that was the one that got me.
So you watched WrestleMania 3?
I watched WrestleMania 3.
Where'd you watch that at?
Well, back when cable TV was in its infancy of pay-per-views, my mom would watch it. She was a big Hogan fan.
Oh, nice.
So that was the good times with her.
So who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
I was always Macho Man.
Oh yeah.
Like, I do dig it. It was like the one time on my stand-up comedy, I did Macho Man on cocaine, and it didn't go as well as I thought.
So you did regular Macho Man?
Yes. I think if I were to try it out again, I want to do Macho Man cocaine and then Macho Man in rehab.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. There's a guy, Mikey Gordon, if you know him. He is a wrestler, also a comedian. He's in L.A. or something now, and he does the Macho Man. He used to. You do the Macho Man on stage. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. One of the funniest things I've ever seen. But yeah, man. I mean, what about comedy? How did you start getting into comedy?
That's an interesting story. Well, the first time I separated from my wife, I was sleeping on EVE's couch, and she was dating this guy we called Big Nick, because we had to differentiate between Big Nick and Sandwich Nick.
Right.
And we were going to an open mic, and she signed my name up, and it was when Jason Allen was hosting over at the studio.
What year was this?
I want to say 95. Not 95. 2000. Yeah, it's been around that long. No, 2015.
Okay.
So it was around that time, and it was right after my surgery. So like I got up there, Okay,
hold on. Let's get back. We're gonna come back to that. That's
okay.
we jump forward. We're gonna jump back a little bit. We're gonna come back to the first time you performed.
Okay.
Let's get some more information about you growing up.
Right.
You liked football. You liked Steve Young. You liked pro wrestling. The Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what about your teenage years, man? What kind of stuff were you into?
Teenage years was hell.
Why so?
Let's see. I had to move in with my grandparents because my mom was heavily addicted to heroin.
Wow.
And my dad basically was like not even there. So like except for that first month, and then back in prison. So growing up, I got involved with staying at my grandparents.
When did you move in with your grandparents? How old were you?
It started when I was 11 years old. So 92, 93, somewhere around there.
So similar to Dylan Collins, man, because I've had him on the show. He's told his young story, and he was telling me this kind of the same thing. You know, his parents were into drugs, and he moved in with his grandparents, and you know that's a whole different thing when you're being raised by not just the next the generation before you, but a few generations back. So it's really old school. So I mean, how was that for you?
It wasn't too good. I think one of the times I realized it was best to get out is when one of my mom's friends OD'd right in the living room, and I was stepped right over the person, not realizing they overdosed.
Ugh. But I mean, how was it for you? I mean, that's rough, brother. But how was it living with the grandparents?
Well, living with grandparents was almost like a breath of fresh air, but I was still going through a lot of depression.
Early on, huh? 11, 12, 13, depressed, man. And you got the foot thing going on, so you can't really do what a lot of kids can do. I mean, how did you cope with all that?
I coped with video games and wrestling.
I feel that, dude.
Like, it was like, basically watching wrestling was like, it was kind of like with its own little role with the storylines and everything. It was like kind of like relating to some of the stuff there. I really got into it during the Attitude Era, and like watching Stone Cold, like give it to the man, and I really always wanted to give it to the man, you know, at that time.
Yeah. And not Becky Lynch, we're talking about.
No, not that man.
I want to give it to Becky Lynch. No, dude, I feel it, man, because as a kid, similar thing, it's like, you know, you might be having a tough time in school or whatever personally, but, man, every Monday you got to look forward to Monday Night Raw, every Thursday at the time of SmackDown, and shoot, we had Heat, you know, on Sunday. I like Sunday Night Heat, too. That was fun, and it's just, yeah, you're able to get out of your world, you know, and escape whatever you're dealing with and kind of go live in that world, and, you know, that world... for me, it never let me down, you know? I mean, obviously they're going to do stuff that we're like, it's stupid, but still, like, they're always there, you know? Those characters are always there every week for you to kind of, you know, live vicariously through, and it sounds like, so we definitely had that in common as teenagers, and you're a little bit older, so we're talking, like, you were a teenager during the late 90s.
Yeah. Like, there was a lot of memorable stuff. Like, I remember, like, seeing the pay-per-view firsthand of Mick Foley and the 98 Hell in a Cell match with
you
Undertaker.
saw that live?
I saw that live.
That's wicked, dude.
I literally thought he was not going to walk again and stuff.
Yeah, that's such a legendary match. What are some of your favorite matches or storylines from that Attitude Era?
The favorite storylines and matches always revolved around The Rock and Stone Cold. Like those,
epic.
Those were epic. One of the storylines I thought that was really overlooked is when Undertaker had the Ministry.
Right.
And they literally hang Big Boss Man
right.
in one of another Hell in a Cell matches.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of that, you see Edge and Christian like starting their little push before they became tag team champions, and they helped the Undertaker, and they're on top of the cell.
Yeah, that was a moment.
That was definitely a moment. That was WrestleMania 15, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're a big Undertaker fan, or?
Back then, yeah. Like I was a big Undertaker fan. Now I'm just kind of as much as people would hate me to say this, I want him to stop wrestling because it looks like a train wreck every time I see him.
I mean, if we're talking about that Undertaker-Goldberg match, I mean, obviously that was rough, but I mean, you got to understand, Goldberg got knocked out in the first couple minutes of that match, bro, and he was able to still go, and obviously they couldn't get each other up or whatever. That sounds really bad. 250-plus-year-old men couldn't get each other up. But then if you watch Taker team with Roman, that last match he had, that was good, man. I mean, he still can go.
He could go, but like we're talking a tag match where he has a chance to take a breather.
That's good. That's what he should be in.
Yeah, it's just the one-on-one matches. He's winded within like the first 5 minutes. And then it's like the other person has to carry him. And that's not the Undertaker I want to see.
Yeah, well, him and Rusev had a good match, though, in Saudi Arabia. So it's really, if you base it off that Goldberg match, obviously it was probably one of the worst Undertaker matches ever.
I'm actually basing it off the Roman Reigns match he had.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Like, when he had that, actually, in my opinion, they should have stopped when he lost to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and the match with Roman was like 20-something minutes, dude. It's too long. Mm-hmm. Taker doesn't need to go more than 10 minutes.
No.
He really doesn't. If he's going to have one more singles match, like, I would like to see him and Drew McIntyre. I'm not going to lie. I've heard that he wants to wrestle Drew, and I would like to see that. And then, maybe he could... I mean, he's going to stop when he wants to stop. No matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter because it's his decision and he's going to do what he wants and he's the Undertaker. But anyway, so Rock Austin, so like those 3 WrestleManias, right? That was badass.
Those were great. Another one I liked was watching Al Snow and Mick Foley together. There was a story where like they were starting to team up and be a tag team.
Yeah.
And they went into a strip club.
Yeah.
And they were throwing quarters at the
in
strippers.
Vegas, yeah.
That was great. The ones I'll kind of digress and talk about a storyline I didn't like. And that was Paul White and Big Boss Man,
God.
where they dragged the casket.
Like anybody like that?
Nobody like that. I actually thought the Katie Vick was funny.
Oh gosh.
That.
Oh my god, dude.
Like it was so terribly bad to me. It was funny because I knew it was going to cause a lot of issue.
Do you remember who hit Stone Cold with the car?
Yeah, it was Rikishi.
Dude, I'm telling you what, I had just started watching. I started watching in June 2000. That's when I rose. I've obviously gone back and watched a lot of stuff, but I started watching in June 2000, and then Austin came back in October of 2000. I'd seen Austin. I knew who he was, but like, this was my first time really as a fan. Like, okay, this is Stone Cold, and then this is the storyline. Dude, I was so invested into that storyline, and they're like, "Oh, it's The Rock." I'm like, "It's not The Rock." I'm like, I thought it was going to be Kane. Actually, that's who I was like, no one's going to succeed. It's going to be Kane, and then no one expected Rikishi.
Well, no one expected Rikishi because Rikishi was like a face at that time, and he was a face for a long time.
Yeah,
like the last time he was a heel was when he was with the Head Shrinkers.
Dude, it was just, it was kind of, but you know what though? It worked though, because it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, like, I'll beat your dong fat ass, you son of a bitch. It still worked.
Yeah.
And then obviously transitioned into Triple H being the mastermind and everything, and that obviously, I mean, Austin Triple H, dude, that No Way Out 3 Stages of Hell match, that was one of my favorite matches too. But yeah, okay, let's move on. Any other memorable pro wrestling you want to talk about before we move on?
One of the another memorable was seeing the first Hell in a Cell between Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker, where we saw Kane. Like that was
gotta be Kane.
That was the best push Kane ever had, like with WWE until later on in his career.
Yeah. No, that first year of Kane, dude. I mean, he won the title. You know, it was good.
I feel like he kind of won it on an accident, though, because he lost it the next day.
Yeah, but
Raw.
No, they do that just probably to pop a rating. You know what I mean? But like, Kane's the champ, but like he's going to defend it against Austin tonight. Everybody watch, and Austin wins. It was a big thing for for Raw, but. Yeah, no, Kane's the man, dude. I mean, that guy's been around for so long and just had so much crap thrown at him too, you know.
Well, he was like the replacement Diesel, and then he was Isaac Yankem, DDS.
But it's Kane though. I mean, the Katie Vick stuff. I mean, they've thrown a lot at him. The Daniel Bryan stuff, which worked really well.
That that was really good. Like it helped Bryan out. Like it showed that because like I'm a big. As we've talked about, you know how big of a Daniel Bryan fan I am, and like it showed because it showed that Daniel Bryan has personality, and like WWE's biggest thing was like against him was they thought he didn't have enough personality.
Right. And that stuff with Kane really brought out his personality. All right, let's end with this. You have to pick top 3 pro wrestlers of all time.
We'll go with Macho Man number 1.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go with, we'll throw a WCW guy in there, Sting number 2.
Nice.
His WWE run was sad. And AJ Styles.
AJ's great. AJ's one of the greatest, man. He really has proven, especially signing with WWE these last couple of years and just proven that this guy's one of the best ever.
Well,
I mean, no doubt.
He didn't need to prove anything with WWE. Like, WWE made a mistake in passing up on him when they bought WCW, and AJ was one of their people they picked up from WCW, and they had a couple dark matches and told him goodbye.
Well, actually, what AJ said is that they were going to sign him to OVW, but they weren't going to pay him a lot, and he chose to not go to OVW. His wife was in school or something like that. I mean, it all worked out great for AJ. Yeah, really. That's the thing, is like things always, they're going to work out, you know, whether, you know, whatever. It's gonna work out. You got to just believe that, I feel. But that was a good 3, man. Sting, AJ, and Macho Man. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about your 20s, bro. Let's transition. You're out of high school. I mean, did you graduate? How'd that all go?
I graduated. I graduated with extra credits, and I did it on purpose so I could like take the 6th period off, and had a teacher that thought otherwise and signed me up in an ROP class. It was a 2-hour class. And so I graduated, and then I decided to move to Colorado, and that lasted about 6 months.
What was in Colorado?
I had family out there, and I got homesick, and I came back to Chico.
And then what?
It was all a blur.
Yeah. You had kids?
I didn't have kids until my 30s.
Okay.
So, well, that's the next chapter.
So how was your 20s, bro? What was some of the highlights of your 20s?
My 20s was a blackout.
Lots of drinking?
Well, too much drinking. Let's see. There was the depression kind of carried over from my teens into my 20s, and so like I didn't care, and so I drank a lot, slept around a lot, got into bad relationships a lot. So yeah.
Sounds like my 20s.
Typical 20s.
Yeah. What were some of the things that maybe, like, obviously wrestling's something that stayed with you, you know, something that keeps you, that, like, brings you up, you know? It's like if you're feeling down, you know, you're dealing with depression and stuff and whatever, like, what is something, you know, that brings you up?
Well, the drinking did for a while, but something that brings me up, like, now is my kids.
I'm talking about in your 20s.
In my 20s, nothing brought me up.
Not even the wrestling, music,
No.
baseball, football.
No, like, because when in the mid-90s, when I started living with my grandparents, I started getting into the Giants, and right in the middle of the early 2000s, I'm, like, feeling good. I'm like, the Giants are in the World Series. They're playing Anaheim.
Oh, yeah.
Go 7 games, Robnin.
But you were from it. You were born in Anaheim. You're supposed to be an Angel fan, right?
You know, like, it was kind of conflicted, but I had more love for the Giants.
Okay.
Like, it's something that, like, really brought my grandfather and I close.
I feel
was
that.
getting into that.
I feel that.
But that was the precursor of my 20s. Like, you get so far, then you have to stop.
Now, what about stand-up comedy? Were you always into that?
No.
You never watched any of it?
I watched a lot of old SNL.
Yeah.
Basically, when Will Ferrell left, that's when I stopped watching it. But I grew up watching the likes of Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, Kevin Nealon, Norm Macdonald, Tina Fey towards the beginning and towards the end. But she was more of a writer at that time, I think.
Middle was garbage, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I feel it, man. All right. So, let's get into it. Then you start having some kids and you start doing some stand-up comedy.
Yeah, like, as I said earlier, like, it was because I separated for the first time from my wife. But, wasn't all good. I mean, wasn't all bad with her. Like, I got, you know, one biological kid and adopted a kid out of it. And that's when things started turning around. I really, truly knew what love was, you know, from having my son and stuff like that.
You adopted one of her kids?
He was actually adopted by her, and then I kind of came along, and I just kind of went with it and said he's my son too.
So you both adopted one, and then you had one of your own biological children.
Yes. The one that we adopted would technically be her cousin.
Gotcha.
But they're native, and because native laws are a little bit different, they try to keep native kids with native families, and so.
Gotcha. And you guys, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he had kind of a real shitty upbringing too. So.
When did you get married?
I got married in 2012.
Where?
Reno.
Nice. No, just on a whim?
We went on a whim, like because she's from Moorville, we were drinking at now known as Gattaca, and I think it was called the Zoo back then, and we got into an argument, and like I still am, but back then, like, I was against marriage, and we were arguing, and we had some drinks, and I was like, you know what, let's just get married. And she's like, what? I was like, I'm holding up my hand, like, up to my head, I'm like, you got me up here, let's go get married, let's do it. She didn't believe me until, like, we started driving to Reno, and...
Drunk?
Drunk, yes.
Jesus, Ginger.
Yeah.
I'll show you what Well, I'll drive drunk and get married.
Exactly. You know, got married and then came back. And I love her grandmother. She's not around anymore. And like the joke was like she was mad that how we bit it. What about it? She looked at me and like she's a frail 80-something-year-old woman. She looked at me and she starts running. She goes, "You stupid son of a bitch." And like joking, like later back joking, I turned to my ex-wife, and when we were married at the time, I was like, I think that was the warning
Yeah.
about marrying you, and we laugh it off.
Married in 2012. Did you have when did you have your kid?
We had him in 2013.
Okay, married 3 kids.
Almost a year after we got married.
You did it professionally.
Of course.
Got married, had the kid.
I got tired of pulling and praying, so finally I just kept it in and prayed.
Yeah, and then you and then you had some marital issues. You said you were sleeping on EVE's couch.
Yes.
Former Mitch, please, alumni EVE. Got it. Much love to EVE. I think you guys dated in high school, didn't you?
We did date in high school. That's how far back we go.
Wow. Yeah, she's great, man.
Yeah. We were cutthroat towards each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was my prom date, and she broke up with me that night.
Oh man.
So then I got back. She got back with me, and then I broke up with her on her birthday. So
there you go.
Yeah.
You showed her.
Showed her, and then we stopped talking to each other for like a year and a half, 2 years.
And you guys are still friends.
We're still friends after all that shit.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So you're sleeping on a couch, and now who's doing? Now Jason Allen's hosting at the studio.
Jason was hosting the studio.
2015.
2015-ish.
Okay. Was EVE doing stand-up?
We started the same day.
The same night.
The same night.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday
Studio
night.
in.
I think it was the same night we started. Either she did it a week before me, or it was the same night.
Take me through that first time on stage.
When she was like, she signed me up, and I didn't realize it, and Jason pulls me aside and says, are you, because at that time I was going by Curtis Ginger Daniels, and he asked me if that was me. I said, yeah. He's like, you got, you're this up on this set, and you got 5 minutes or something. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I didn't know what to talk about, so I got shit-faced drunk, and I talked about my 21st birthday. And
how did it feel that first time grabbing a microphone in front of that very attentive Studio In audience?
I was a lot more attentive back then. It was a rush. I was scared shitless. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I was nervous, a little stage fright, and I'm naturally shy anyways. And it ended up being a rush, and it was fun, and I've done it since then.
Yeah, you've done a lot since then. So 2015 started a little after I did, but my problem was, bro, is I was never consistent. I'm starting to get consistent now, but I would do I remember in 2014 I started and I did 10 or 12 mics and booked a show or two, and then I stopped for 6-8 months. And then came back and then did 4 or 5 mics and then stopped for a year or whatever and came back and then. But for you, man, were you able to be consistent with it? I mean, how'd that first year or two go?
The first year I was pretty consistent. I think I missed a few here and there, but I generally stayed really consistent.
What was some of the highlights of that first year? What was your first show that you were booked on?
My first show was with Jerm Leather, and he was doing a benefit for the 1078, and I almost didn't make it. I've always made my bookings.
Yeah.
And I was freaked out. My stepson ran away, and I had to call the police. I'm calling Jerm. I'm like, hey, I got this going on, so if you can't make it, no worries. I was like, I'm going to fucking make the show. I made it, and he had to push my time a little bit and stuff like that, but I still made it.
Now, was that the first time you were on a poster too, your name?
That was the first time, yes.
How'd that feel?
It was great. It was I finally achieved something that I was trying so hard to do.
Look at me, Mom. That's my name on that poster slapped on that window, baby. That's a great feeling. Mm-hmm. I remember my first poster in wrestling for Cal Skate right up the street here, and I'm gonna put myself on the flyer, and it's there you go, man. That's a big thing, you see all these flyers and all these people doing all these things, but when you're finally on there, man, that's big. So when was that? 2015, 16?
Around 2016.
16? That's when I met you, and cool, man. And then, so what were some of your favorite shows over the years that you've done?
One of my favorite shows, it was the Shenanigans one with Drake Nelson, another alum.
Yeah.
I picked that guy's brain. I almost died.
Yeah, tell us that story. April 2017.
Yeah, like I said, I make my bookings. I almost didn't make that one. I remember going on after another alum, Zach Reeb, who ran the mic, and I was okay with it because I was curled. You could see me. I was curled up in the quote-unquote green room, like in the back, like crying.
That was such a fun show, dude.
And that was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a great show when the police show up.
See, I left at that point because I just couldn't take it anymore.
What was it about that you enjoyed? I mean, talking to Drake Nelson?
I was meeting Drake. Like, I heard him on one of your previous shows, and I was like, this guy's fucking amazing. I love him. I'm a wrestler and a comedian. Kind of local guy to Chico, but more Oroville, I believe.
Yeah.
So I talked to him and, like, got to know him. Still keep in touch with him to this day.
Yeah.
Like, not as much as I used to, but, like, I still keep in touch with him. Still follow him on Facebook.
Yeah, man, he's on tour right now. He's traveling all over the country, dude, doing comedy and stuff, killing it, and hopefully, maybe in 2020 we'll get him back in this area for a show. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, like I was working on getting him on a show here, but all that fell apart.
Well, what's some of your goals, man, in comedy? What do you want to do these next couple years?
I'm hoping to expand more.
There goes an expanding helicopter.
Exactly, like I wonder if it's got a dead body in it. That's not an in though, so no, they're good. I'm hoping to expand more. I'm looking on like traveling a little bit more.
Where do you want to
go? Right now, I'm starting to like sink my teeth into Sacramento, and
yeah,
I'm gonna work on getting something like start sinking my teeth in and going even further south and stuff.
Yeah, the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like try and get my name out there.
Yeah.
The one thing has been holding back is, like I said, I'm shy, and so like I'm not cutthroat, so I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone of Chico and go in other places.
Yeah, talent will always shine through everything. Whether you're shy or whatever, not cutthroat. Like, man, if you're talented and you make people laugh, I mean, you're gonna get booked. You know?
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, man. Well, I think what else we got? I mean, I think we've told a pretty good tale here of old Ginger Daniels.
The life and times of Ginger.
Is there anything else you want to share with the class, Ginger?
Well, today class. Well, I'm part of the LOL Palooza.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What are you doing for that?
I'm gonna be doing the brew kettle.
Nice.
With Dylan.
I've never been there, dude.
I haven't been there either. I don't even know where it's at.
I don't either.
I Google mapped it, and I think it's over by the hookah place.
Right.
So we'll see.
So you're doing that event? Are you doing the Blue Room as well?
No, I'm not doing the Blue Room. I've only been asked to do the brew kettle.
The brew kettle. Okay.
Like my comedy really gets in the way of my other work life, so. I gotta take what I can.
Yeah, dude. No, that's exciting. Well, what a finale that was.
You're welcome.
I don't think we're going to top that.
No.
Well, when is the brew kettle? I want to go ahead and do some event plugging here because we're going to close this show up.
That one will be the 8th of November.
November 8th. What time?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 or 7.
Whatever. Yeah, find it Jesse Clark Comedy on Facebook, guys. I'm going to just go ahead here. We're going to let's actually plug your social media, Ginger, and where people can find more out about you.
Let's see. They'll find mostly me on Facebook under Ginger Daniels, or my other one of Curtis Ginger Daniels. You can find me on Snapchat of Ginger D Comedy, and could also find me on Instagram with Ginger D Comedy, I believe it is too.
There it is.
There it is.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and drop a bunch of plugs here as we wrap up. Make sure you guys follow Ginger Daniels and keep up with everything he's doing. And follow me at HeartbreakerMV on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Got a bunch of pages on Facebook, Pro Championship Entertainment, Mitch Please, Got Mitch Marketing, Team Valentine, and there's this thing out there. There's this gentleman named the Adonis Bro. Check him out. He's actually going to be making his comedy debut on November 9th at the Tender Loving Coffee. And check out Ginger Daniels at the Brew Kettle on November 8th at 8 p.m. Also on November 8th at the Blue Room, I will be performing stand-up comedy. I believe that's going to be like a 10 p.m. show. All right. And then we've got the Paradise Performing Arts Center on November 15th. That's a campfire benefit show. Also doing another benefit show at Feather Falls Casino on the 16th. That is sold out, but show your love for that. Drop a comment. We're doing this for the family of a little girl that just passed away from cancer. So show some love on that. November 16th, Feather Falls Casino. November 22nd will be Blacktop Comedy in Rockland. I'm going to be doing a roast battle. Oh, and speaking of roast battle, are you doing this roast battle on November 7th?
No, I couldn't get the day off. Sorry.
Well, hopefully, maybe we could do a roast battle down the line. I think it'd be fun.
I love roasts. Like, one of my favorite roasts was Jason Allen when he got his DUI.
Dude, I did that. That wasn't a roast battle, but that was the only roast I've ever done, and that was like, I was terrible. But
I was too. Jason was in terrible shape afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
He was 2 shits to the wind.
Jason, it's so funny, sorry, if you hear earlier this Mitch Please episode, when me and Jerm were recording, Jason Allen, he's getting a lot of shout-outs today. He actually walked past us into the CVS while we were recording. It was hilarious. Guys, this Tuesday night, I'll be at Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento doing a set. Ellis Rodriguez will be hosting that. And then November 7th, this Thursday, will be the roast battle at the Lab. I have $5 tickets for that. And then finally, November 30th, Farm Star Pizza. You've done this show.
It's a fun little room.
Yep, it's a fun room. I'm excited to make my debut there, doing clean comedy November 30th. So, a lot going on in November, guys. December is going to have some things going on as well. Thank you again to Sydney Hupp for the drop. Thank you to Jerm Leather for the State of Comedy. And much love to Ginger Daniels for coming on here and sharing his story. My name is Mitch Valentine. You have been listening to Mitch Please, and here at Mitch Please, it's all love.